Who has been the most pleasant surprise this wonderful 2024 Philadelphia Eagles season? Rich Hoffman's here to talk about it. We're going to hear from Vinnie Curry and Zack Burman later on, all coming up next on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a Wednesday. It's a new little format. We got Bo Wolf, handsome Rich Hoffman in the studio today. Jamie out sick. We are, of course, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. We are going to hear from Vinnie Curry in a little bit. We're going to hear from Zack Berman after practice at about 2:50 so he can let us know who's practicing. Is Landon Dickerson healthy? Anything else going on? But Rich, the big news of the day, Bryce Huff got that practice window activated.
How he activated it. He pressed the button.
Press the button.
First off, I'd like to ask you, how are you doing on this Wednesday?
I'm good. I feel like both of us have nice winter bushy beards going on.
Oh, yeah. We got it going out. Seasonal beards.
Do you trim that beard?
No, I've just let this thing grow like a wild man right now. I'm probably going to shave it pretty soon. It's getting pretty itchy.
When you get rid of it, will it just be a straight, just a straight shave?
I think it'll probably just be a straight shave.
Okay.
Maybe we'll repeat the process again. It's a long winter. I'm assuming some cold months, but
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not as much of a beard groomer type.
I never really have been either, although over the past year or so, I have gone to the electric razor to trim it down a little bit. It's okay.
Yeah,
I feel like I could do more there, but I don't know.
I only have so much bandwidth, Bo, and I don't have the time for that. I don't. Think.
Here is the problem though: is that I did I got one of those like $25 electric razors at Target, and that bad boy broke in like a month. So it's one of those things where like you gotta just buy the expensive one, otherwise you're just gonna have to buy like 8 of them.
If you make that purchase, I'm sure it's probably easier. But again, I'm just too lazy to even explore that avenue. Let me ask you, what have you been doing on your Wednesdays for the last few months?
Good question. It's interesting because the Wednesday setup at the NovaCare complex is usually Nick Sirianni press conference at noon-ish. 2 hours later, practice for like 15 minutes. And then 2 hours after that, locker room. So it's actually a good day for me to get some errands done. It's like I can get the grocery shopping done in the middle of the day. Wednesday has become my errands day.
So do you go to all of these things and then leave to do your grocery shopping?
Every now and then I will skip practice because you only get to see so much. And if it's a big errand that I got to do, then might require more of the day.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah,
getting a lot of stuff done. It could
Thanks
be
to you and Jamie.
Yeah, it could be your
could be my
beard
shaving day
as well.
Could be, Zach would never do this, but it could be a nap catch-up day, potentially.
Yeah. Come on.
But,
Let me ask you, too, about the biggest story of the NFL day yesterday. How about the Melvin getting demoted?
Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm not going to play quarterback anymore. That's how you gave me all this money. What are you talking about?
So I was looking back at this season. Falcons 22, Eagles 21 might be, if the Eagles keep this up, it will go down, I think, as the funniest and most misleading early season result that we've had in a while. Oh, that Vic Fangio defense, that pass rush, they had nothing for the Melvin on that
Yeah, that's
night.
right.
Nothing. It was panic in Philadelphia. And now the Melvin, I believe in his last 5 games, 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions. Is
that right?
I think they ran the ball on 23 of 24 first downs the other night too. Just completely hiding him. Yeah, it was something. But yeah,
I'm curious to see how Penix looks.
Me too. Obviously,
yeah.
I thought he was a fun college player. He threw all those deep balls, but to throw him in the middle of a playoff race after you give the Melvin all that money in March, was pretty shocking. I'm surprised they did it.
And it's like, I think if they cut him, it's, $50-something million of dead money, but they could potentially trade him. How do you feel about a Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers quarterback battle in New York?
I think I like it. I think it's going to happen. And I think regardless of which team Kirk is playing for, I predict he will be in MetLife Stadium one way or another next year.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
Does he want to have class or no?
I could see the Giants. I could absolutely see that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Especially when the Eagles let the Giants win in Week 18 and they're not able to draft their quarterback.
Yeah, what do you think happens? So what do you think happens? Let's talk about this first. If the Eagles aren't chasing the 1 seed, let's say they get pipped by Washington this weekend and the Lions win their next 2 games, and so the Eagles know going into Week 18. What do you think? What do you think that Week 18 game looks like?
Well, we talked about it. In the NFL, you're not allowed to just completely empty the bench. You have to play.
Sit, like 8 guys. Yeah.
Some of your play, you'll rest all of your older, more important, bigger players. So here's the question I have for you to throw it back at you. Who's the quarterback in that game?
See, this is interesting
because that's one you can sit.
Yeah, I think it probably would be Kenny Pickett just because he is the number 2 and they haven't seen him run the offense in a real game yet. But I mean, I think you could certainly make the case that long term it would mean more to Tanner McKee to get those reps. I think you could even see Pickett gets the first half, McKee gets the second half kind of deal.
Love it. And I mean, honestly, Bo.
What about you? I think everybody would rather see McKee.
I would rather see McKee. My guess is they would let Pickett have that game. It would be very interesting if Kenny could get them over the finish line against the Giants team that might actually be trying to let the Eagles score. It wouldn't be very classy of them to do that, but I think you do have to weigh, the draft pick and the class, and they are competing issues there. So, I mean, this last 3 weeks, Bo, it's kind of crazy. It's such a great spot for the Eagles right now, where you're telling me probably the worst case scenario that the Eagles have. Let's say they lose this week, they will go in to the playoffs in the same spot they are right now, the number 2 seed. And they probably will have, if not a complete bye in the Week 18, they will have rested all of their great players.
Right.
And not dropped any further. That is the worst case scenario right now. And with the Lions lost this week, okay, maybe in all the injuries that they're dealing with, okay, maybe the best case scenario is also on the table. It's a great spot to be. But yeah, it is a weird setup here where they have these 3 divisional games and they could be very low stakes at the end of the year. Yeah,
right. When like the schedule comes out and you see you close with 3 straight NFC East games, you're thinking, okay, this is how the division's going to be decided. And it certainly doesn't look that way right now. Dallas is playing better though. Like that game is a little bit spicier than it might have looked 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, it definitely didn't make me feel good heading into the Steelers game to see Dallas just completely embarrass Bryce Young and the Panthers. I was like, ooh, that doesn't look great with what the Eagles did last week. And then the Eagles made me feel better by just by putting it to the Steelers in that game. So I agree with you. Dallas they look a little spicier at this point for sure.
Yeah, I mean, are you worried about them losing a game here?
I think this is the one I would worry about the most.
Yeah.
Right? I think they're going to win.
Yeah.
It's gotten to the point where, Bo, they've had all of these games that have been considered, if not really tough games like Baltimore, like at least challenging games. Washington at the Rams, Cincinnati even at the time. And they've kind of passed all of these tests with flying colors. The Pittsburgh game last week as well. I don't know. It felt like they really dominated Washington the first time. Like, look, it's the NFL. If they play like they did against the Panthers a couple weeks ago against Washington, they could lose. Washington almost lost to the Saints last week, though. I don't think they have been very impressive over the past couple weeks. They had that one nice performance against Tennessee. No, I think if they want to win all 3 of these games, they probably should win all 3 of these games. I think that's over a 50% chance.
Yeah, I believe in the defense so much. They have proved it time and time again that it's hard for me to imagine like the Commanders just totally outscoring the Eagles, right?
No.
And then the Eagles, they have so many ways to win on offense right now. I think we still need to see the passing game do it more than one time.
Sure.
It was nice like that we can now imagine a higher ceiling for them based on what they did against the Steelers last week and how Jalen Hurts looked, but I'm not convinced we're going to see that every week, but it's difficult for me to see how, aside from a couple fluky turnovers or something like that, a kind of a weird game, maybe everybody's just distracted by Josh Harris's good looks. aside from that, it's hard for me to imagine the Commanders pulling this one out.
That's what slows Zach Berman down. He takes one look at the sideline and he's seeing stars.
Oh, my goodness gracious, Josh.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the defense every week, I can't imagine a team putting up like 30 points against them. Usually teams aren't even close. I mean, these stats that they've held, what was it, 3 teams that they've held under 175 yards in a game?
I think that's right.
It's crazy. It's like stuff the Steelers haven't done in 20 years almost, which is crazy with how many bad offenses they've had. I mean, they give you a baseline level of competence every week. We thought that was what Vic Fangio was going to strive for at the beginning of the year, competence. It's really not a baseline level of competence, Bo. It's a baseline
crazy.
level of like excellent play so far. And it's an amazing feeling as an Eagles fan right now. There really just is not a lot to complain about heading out of that Steelers game for sure.
Well, let's use that opportunity to talk about Nolan Smith at the top, right? Because Fran doing a great job explaining how much of a menace he was in that game, playing like almost every single snap defensively. To me, he has been one of, if not the most pleasant surprise individually for any Eagles player this season. You just think back to him playing in the third preseason game and like playing a lot, like the whole first half, and looking like maybe he wasn't going to be much more than just sort of a try-hard player who could chase plays on the backside and was willing to hustle. Like, he has been extremely impressive. I've been blown away with the ascent that he has had in year 2, and I was not expecting this level of performance from him.
No, and after the BG injury, he has been the guy who has taken a lot of the snaps. I know that the number isn't that high because the offense had one of those crazy drives that they have, it seems like twice a year, where they have the ball for the entire fourth quarter. But 41 of 43 snaps the other day, Bo. And it seems like to me, here's a question for you. I was just looking at the snap counts week by week. It seems like this year they're trying to keep Josh Sweat at like 60% to 70%.
He's the
of
one
snaps.
who they don't want to mess with. Yeah.
And that's because of last year, right? Where he completely fell off a cliff, where Sean Desai had him playing 80%, 90% in some of those games. So Nolan Smith is the guy that takes over. And Bo, I mean, he's been awesome. I mean, the play where he jumped over Jalen Warren, I know he didn't actually get the quarterback on that play. It wasn't that smart, but it just goes to show, like, he's playing all of these snaps and still super athletic. The motor is still running. He's been awesome against the run for a smaller guy too. Like, just setting edges, and a lot of this great run defense is the linebackers and Jordan Davis, but don't discount Nolan Smith there. Yeah, he's been awesome, and he's somebody who, unlike Zach Berman, who came out of nowhere, where we had no idea that this was even possible, he had a disappointing rookie year.
Yeah, I think it's different than, like, the Berman thing was a complete surprise. Like, absolutely nobody saw that coming, and he's been one of the best linebackers in football. But it was like a bit of found money, I guess. Whereas with Nolan Smith, like, people, myself included, sort of thought they knew what he was, or what he was going to bring to the table.
Yeah, and he has completely exceeded expectations to the point where you now have Bryce Huff coming back, and it seems like a luxury. Bryce Huff, a guy who at the beginning of this season was the poster boy for, okay, this is why this team is struggling. They can't get to the passer. The pass rush, Kirk Cousins can barely move, and they can't even come close to getting him. Now he's going to be considered a luxury because Nolan Smith, even after BG gets hurt for the season, is playing all of these snaps. So he's been great. I mean, it felt like, and Fran talked about it yesterday, against Pittsburgh, it felt like him and Josh Sweat were just meeting at the quarterback a lot. And it's super impressive, and it's something that I certainly was not expecting just from hearing the reports at training camp, first off. And then, seeing him play in that third preseason game and not really do a lot is the Minnesota Vikings, their second and third stringers. Now, we didn't know the Minnesota Vikings actually were going to be a pretty good team, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But, it was a weird game.
I honestly don't know if you had asked me who they played on third preseason game, if I would have remembered.
It was the Vikings.
And I believe you, but
the thing the only reason I remember it too was that Kevin O'Connell got mic'd up, and he was in a very third preseason game type of move. As he was calling plays, he was mic'd up on the Vikings broadcast as he was moving the ball up and down the field on Nolan Smith and the Eagles defense.
I guess I sort of remember. Yeah, maybe Jaron Hall had to played in that game. Maybe that's the only thing I mean, I was there. I don't remember it. Not a good sign for my memory.
No, I have moments like that all the time too. Don't worry about it.
On the pass rush, and we'll get to some of the more pleasant surprises, but I think this speaks to like if Bryce Huff comes back and how they don't need much from him. Give us like 10 snaps a game would be helpful. But this Eagles defense, this pass rush, 7th in the league in sack rate, despite them having the lowest blitz rate in the league or the second lowest blitz rate in the league, and yet like there is nobody who has been individually outstanding. It has been the collection of all of them. Like if you look at 142 pass rushers in the NFL who have at least 200 snaps pass rushing this season, the Eagles' highest rated player based on hits per pass rush. So just if you're rushing the passer, do you hit the quarterback? It's Josh Sweat, who's 32nd of 142. He's at 4.6%, but all of these guys are clustered. So it's like he's at 4.6%, BG's at 4.2%, Nolan Smith's at 4.1%, Milton Williams is at 4% exactly, which is around like 12th for all interior defensive linemen. Jalen Carter's at 3.5%. He is obviously getting double teamed a lot. But so the Eagles don't have anybody who's at like that Hassan Reddick level, who is just like super reliable and killing it, getting up to the quarterback. They don't have anybody in the top 30, but as a team, the collection of them all is working out.
I think that tracks with what we see too. Just watching France film reviews over the year, there have been a lot of sacks where there's been teamwork involved, where Nolan Smith is getting to the outside and making the quarterback step up, and maybe Milton Williams cleans that play up. And there are other times where Jalen Carter forces the pocket and he kind of splits a double team with some super violent move, and somebody else cleans it up. So it's been great, and it's also part of the other surprise that I have, Bo, is just that we didn't know if the two coordinator CEO coach system was going to work. I think it's safe to say that it has worked so far. I mean, Vic Fangio,
I would say so.
Do you think he has been the best coordinator in the NFL right now?
It would be hard for me to think of somebody who's possibly been better.
I've seen some other people mention Ben Johnson and Joe Brady, but those guys are working with, I feel like, if not better players, because I don't want to completely take away the credit to somebody like Zach Berman and Nolan Smith, but we thought the preseason expectations were much higher for those units, right? The Lions and the Bills, simply because the Lions have all that talent and the Bills have the quarterback who's amazing.
Yeah, I think you could make a case for Ben Johnson. I think that would be fair. I think the difference is, it's the expectations. It's also the continuation of something he had already been building, right? It's the degree of difficulty is lower when you think about like Vic Fangio taking over an entirely new unit, and also a lot of players who weren't here at all. Both linebackers. Even Nakobe Dean didn't really play last year. Obviously, 2 rookies in the secondary. Another guy coming in, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who wasn't on the team last year. And they were also like the worst defense in football last year down the stretch. So, yeah, I would say that Fangio's degree of difficulty is a little bit more difficult, but Ben Johnson, maybe if you want to tell me that offense matters more and it's not an offensive head coach, I could be open to that, but I would still vote for Fangio.
And I thought this was a big Kellen Moore week, too. I know Deniz had kind of floated the idea that Kellen Moore might have been a little bit fraudulent, which I understand. I understand why he said that. But last week, Kellen Moore gets the empty sets. He gets Jalen in a good rhythm. Now it's about, can you marry those two things? Where can the passing attack look that efficient in a game where Saquon is also, running the ball at 5 or 6 yards per carry as well. But it was a big Kellen Moore week. I thought he called a great game the other day. So I think they're, what are they, 4th in EPA on both sides of the ball right now? I know I'm
not sure what they are on offense.
I know the DVOA is a little bit lower
on offense because
of the competition, but pretty good.
Yeah,
4th in both of those. That means you have a contender.
Now, by the way, Bryce Huff is all the way down at 2.4% on that quarterback hit rate, so he has been the least effective of those guys. But I have been bullish on Huff before, and I was wrong heading into the season. But I would actually be like a little bit. I think there is room for him to be a pleasant surprise as he comes back, hopefully healthy, and maybe the pressure is off him a little bit. Well,
you've talked about it too. Like at the beginning of the year, the question was, can he be a 3-down defensive end? Can he also play the run? I think we can put that one to bed. But the good news about that is,
the beginning of the year was like, can he be Hassan Reddick for us? Yeah. Now it's like, can he be a little better than Jalyx Hunt?
Yeah. And with Nolan Smith playing so well against the run, you don't need him to be
absolutely
in there on first down a lot as well. Nolan Smith, I mean, BG had also answered those questions as well. It's just crazy that you suffer the injury to BG, but you also have Nolan Smith, who is playing so well and kind of like a versatile game where he's good both against the run and against the pass. Now it's Jalyx Hunt. Like, can you, on third down, on a money down, can you actually just get to the quarterback a few times? I think Bryce Huff can do that.
I think so too. Who else is on your list of pleasant surprises? I think Nakobe Dean is a fair one. We didn't even know he was going to be the week 1 starter. Remember Devin White?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think Nakobe Dean has been
he's
really
good. You remember Devin White?
Yeah.
Give yourself some credit, man.
Okay, I'll take that. Mekhi Becton, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I mean, I think the linebackers overall, obviously we've talked about Bond a ton, but to me, if you look at the last 10 years of the Eagles, it doesn't always work out this way, but the great years tend to line up with, okay, the minimal investment at linebacker, they've hit on these 2 guys where, and maybe these guys, I mean, often they're not here for a long time, whether it's TJ Edwards and Kaiser White a couple years ago, it's Jordan Hicks and especially Nigel Bradham during the Super Bowl year. But there are other years where it's like, okay, can we get Shaq Leonard? Can we win the Shaq Leonard sweepstakes and the right to watch him just
the right to waive Christian Ellis, the best player on the team?
I know. I'm sorry.
Thanks for bringing it up.
A sore spot there, but it sort of lines up that when the linebacker situation is handled well, and they get competent play there, that's when they tend to have these juggernaut teams. I'm stunned at how well this has turned out because before that Packers game, during the whole Devin White saga, it was like, oh man, here we go again with the linebacker situation where they have Nakobe, they have this guy, Zach Berman. Who is he? He hasn't played linebacker at all. I mean, he basically signed here to be edge rusher, and Vic Fangio, like, how do you think that worked, by the way? Because it's funny that Vic talks about how he's like, I knew he was going to be a linebacker. Yeah. I saw his tape. He had all of the traits to be an off-ball guy. But Zach Berman in his opening presser was like, yeah, I'm here to, rush the passer kind of. And
I think Howie was like, he thinks he's going to be an inside linebacker. Wait till he's the guy's he's nuts. He's clearly just an edge rusher. He's like an upgrade on Patrick Johnson as our special teams guy. But you should give all the credit to, not all the credit. You got to give some credit to Zach Berman. But I think it's very funny.
Do you think Berman is going to be here next year?
I think I do. I am a little bit surprised that we haven't had any in-season extensions. And I remember they did this again in 2022. And Howie Roseman said after the fact that he didn't really want to upset the apple cart in the locker room. I think the difference then was there were a lot of guys who were pending free agents at the same position. Like, remember, you had C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Epps. You had T.J. Edwards and Kaiser White. And so I can understand why that would have made it especially awkward. Like, you're not going to sign C.J. Gardner-Johnson then, and then Marcus Epps feels some kind of way because he's the one who's been here. But I do think that, if you extended Zach Berman right now, I don't think Nakobe Dean's going to be offended by that. And then the one that we've been talking about for 2 years now, I am surprised that they haven't locked up Milton Williams. Yeah. And you think about moving forward, if Milton Williams hits the market, and I think he gets a nice offer, and probably maybe more than the Eagles would be willing to offer, then all of a sudden they gotta find a starting defensive tackle because Jordan Davis is not playing like Milton Williams is playing. 70% of the snaps. Jordan Davis is playing on first down, and that's about it.
Yeah, I wonder if that's something that they would have to address in the draft early on.
Yeah,
which was, that could be something they do there. I will add one other person just because, and this might be a little bit of recency bias, but Kenny Gainwell having juice in key spots is pretty surprising to me, where, again, he's not playing a lot. Saquon is the guy who makes this offense go, all of those things. But there's been 4 or 5 times this year where Jalen has thrown a check down to Kenny Gainwell that has been a legitimately hard first down to pick up.
Yeah.
And he's made some awesome moves, man.
It's been great. It's been fun to watch. This has been Kenny Gainwell week. All the press conference questions have been about Kenny Gainwell.
Everybody loves him. Lane Johnson said he'd be starting for pretty much every other team in the league. I wouldn't go that far.
Frankly, I would even say, Saquon has been a pleasant surprise. I didn't think he was going to be this good.
Sure. But Kenny Gainwell, it felt like last year, because he was a part of that 3-headed rushing attack when they made the Super Bowl, and he had some good games in the.
He was the lead back down the stretch
in the playoffs too. But last year it felt like he was the guy that the coaches trusted, and he would just continually do untrustworthy things, whether it was miss a blitz pickup or drop a pass or whatever. And I don't know, this year it's been the complete opposite where Jalen, once every couple of weeks tells him, okay, go pick up this first.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. And after that, we're going to hear from our friend Vinnie Curry just after this.
And Bo, I am here to tell you about Empire Today, who can help you with all of your carpeting and flooring needs. You can use EmpireToday.com/PHLY for $350 off new floors. With Empire Today, you get to shop for home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a price match guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring. So, of course, there are copycats out there. They will advertise lower quality products, but they cannot beat Empire on quality, service, and speed. Empire's philosophy is to help you find what you need and not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is just as important as what they put in. And shopping for floors at a big box store, it can be frustrating. You might talk to someone today who was working in plumbing or somewhere else yesterday. But flooring is all that Empire Today does. They live and breathe it, so you can be confident that you're getting honest and upfront advice. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code PHLY. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/PHLY for details.
And I will tell you about our friends at Glatt Hair Restoration. Morgenstern Center for Orbital and Facial Plastic Surgery recently welcomed the Glatt Group to the practice, creating an invaluable opportunity to leverage Dr. Glatt's high-caliber brand equity and begin an exciting chapter in Dr. Morgenstern's highly respected legacy. Dr. Morgenstern is a nationally recognized specialist and among the few surgeons in the country who is trained in oculofacial plastic surgery, facial cosmetic surgery, general trauma surgery, and ophthalmology. As a true advocate, we are excited to have John Marks spearhead the Glatt marketing campaign on this new platform, educating his audience through authentic stories and engaging narratives. Here's what makes the people at Glatt the best in the business. They have the same peerless approach to care, same expert team, and same unmatched Glatt system with the same state-of-the-art location and the same stellar results. Under the direction of Dr. Morgenstern, a highly respected plastic surgeon, each member of this exceptionally trained team brings over 30 years of industry experience. Hair restoration is all they do. Now, if you reach out to the good folks at Glatt, each patient will receive a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment. The caring patient advocates work with you from the first phone call to the last follow-up visit. They understand that this decision can be emotional and challenging. They're here to help make your experience simple and stress-free. Bald is now optional. If you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit glatthairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started. All right. I think we have our man, Vinnie Curry, Super Bowl champion, checking in on a Wednesday. Vinny, how we doing? Where are you?
Man, I'm at a local barbecue spot.
Love it.
You know I like to eat.
What do we got? What's the spread?
Barbecue spot here. Just had me some Alabama wings.
Okay.
Some brisket.
Okay. You're eating good.
And the water. And the sweet tea, the water.
Water. Okay. I like that. You're the Alabama wings for Landon Dickerson, who was at practice today. That sounds like.
Oh, there you go. There you go. You know, and I was going to say, you know, we were staying in Alabama for the way Jalen played. You know, that was cool.
I like that. Very nice. Vinny, how are we feeling? We talked a little bit about Nolan Smith on the post-game show, but we were talking about him just now as maybe one of the most pleasant surprises of this Eagles season. How do you view Nolan's ascent in year two?
Oh, man. You know, at the beginning of the season, I told you it was going to be his breakout year. And he's standing on business with it, you know. So to see him see the games finally slow down for him and him have the opportunity, you know, to show that he belongs in this league and he's one of the, you know, premier guys in this league. It's been amazing to watch.
Vinny, Bryce Huff, his practice window was activated today. So, it's unclear when we're going to see him or really how much we're going to see from him down the stretch. But, as somebody who has observed him for a long time and saw him struggle a little bit earlier in the year, what do you expect from him down the stretch of this season?
Well, I expect, Coach Rick to understand that slow rolling, slow rolling. Man, do like that gesture, only had him coming on third down, every other third down in the beginning. And once he starts getting hot, then see what we got going down the stretch. We damn sure going to need him during the playoffs.
Yeah, no, one thing we've talked about is like this defensive end rotation is so shallow right now. Nolan Smith played all but 2 of the snaps in this game. And so I would imagine that if they can just throw in Bryce Huff for 10 snaps a game, that would help everybody out, right?
Hey, bro, the beauty thing about this is they all young. They body can handle that. They all young. But to get some rotation going on would definitely help them out, especially as we get ready to go down the stretch. And they all gonna complement each other.
Vinny, when would you say during your career you were in the best shape of your life?
I would say the year of 2014. That 2014 was when like when we was doing those couple years, we was all in shit because everybody was all the way locked in. The first 2 years in the league, you're trying to plan and learn how to be a pro, how to really take care of the body, what's really important. But from there on, one of the biggest blessings for me was Connor Barwin coming to our team.
Okay, and why was that?
Because he knew how to be a pro. He didn't stop working out. He could run all day. And we used to compete. I was like, man, this man not gonna beat me to the ball. So I was just like, I'm gonna come in so much shape, it's gonna be crazy. But you mentally you start creating a crazy motor in your head that you can go all day.
Well, I always think about, guys at the end of their career. We'll talk about how the game seems so much slower for them, but their body is slower too. So I'm always curious about when you had the mix of the two, where you were both the physical peak and you didn't feel like you were swimming a little bit. So maybe year 3 for you.
No. Let me rephrase that. Yeah, I would say when you start becoming as strong as everybody out there, and you start breaking everything down. Now, towards the end, if you talk about towards the end, how everything starts slowing down, everything. I was like, yeah, it's time to roll. Because you got guys like Nolan Smith and them coming off the edge, the way they bending, Jalen Carter, think about that. And at that time, if you even watch the guys up there where I was at, Jermaine and Kill with those guys, I was like, yeah, it might be over for me.
Mm-hmm. Vinny, there was a mic'd up segment where Josh Sweat, he was talking to AJ Brown at the end of the game the other day, and he basically was like, man, you guys had the ball the entire fourth quarter. He's like, I don't think I got to do one pass rush in the whole second half. Did you ever have a game like that in your career where just because the offense had the ball the entire game, you really didn't get to do a lot?
Yeah, those are the games you love because every play, especially the way the defense, if the defense is dominant and stout and the offense is playing like that, you know how that look come Monday morning? Kick the shit out of that team. So you love stuff like that. You impose your will.
Now you mentioned Connor Barwin, and I'm curious because he's still with the team and is a big part of their player development program. Do you keep in touch with Connor at all?
Oh, absolutely. I think Connor's doing a great job. I know he works hands-on with those guys, and as we've seen it, we always talk about it all the time. The Eagles don't get enough credit for their player development, because you don't really see that around the league anymore. Guys just want guys to be how they was in college overnight, and football is so physical and mental that it doesn't work like that in, most of the time.
Yeah, this is a thing that the organization takes pride in relative to the rest of the league. Their player development program. So having been other places, you think it is different here than elsewhere?
Yeah, that's why. Oh God, I lost you guys. That's why you can you hear me, Jimmy?
Yeah, we got you.
That's why. Yeah, so that's why. Think about it. What other coach got their own university? Without you,
That's true.
like that. That's real. He take pride in that. After practice, after every practice, younger guys have to get extra reps. Young guys got to do something to make yourself better. And that you never know when your number's gonna be called, and you need to be called up. You know what I'm saying? Injuries, you just want injury away. That's what they always say.
I mean, it seems like Nolan Smith, especially Vinny, he is like the perfect example of player development this year, because Vic Fangio said it yesterday where he's gotten a lot better throughout this season. Like, he is not the same player he was in week one, playing almost 100% of the snaps a couple days ago.
Listen, that dude, man, bro, we watched them set their edge on one play last week. Set their edge, come all the way across field and make a tackle. That was crazy. Like, the dude is playing lights out, like his hair's on fire. And like I said, he's taking pride into learning, and he's becoming a main piece and a cornerstone of his defense.
Vinny, how are we feeling about this game? The Commanders, probably what looks on paper like the most difficult of the 3 games remaining. First time the Eagles will play a team a second time. Are you worried about it at all?
No, not really. What I will tell you, I am worried that we can't take it lightly, because the Commanders is playing, to get the win 10. They obviously got playoff hopes, and you want to crush us because of what we did to them. Like, woo! But it's just the same time. At the same time, we got to handle business and and make sure that we still rolling.
I like that the people in the chat are calling you the newsletter guy.
Yeah, that's me.
Pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. There's the Saquon. There's the shirt. You can get it on the store
we go.
At allcitynetwork.com. Vinny, I was watching the national championship of soccer, the college soccer the other day. Your boys, Marshall, they fell.
Tough loss.
They got nipped.
Yeah, but you know what?
But they won like 3 years ago. It's crazy.
Yeah. I went to the day. I got there to the parade. They had a parade for them, but I got there like the following day or whatever it was. But,
if you had to play a soccer position, what position would it be?
Let me be the coach, man. Like, so you ever see them soccer coaches? They be coming out, they be ripping their stuff up. Like, damn, you do something like that, you're getting ejected in football. Oh, you're out of here.
It's like a wrestling manager. It's all about the
exactly.
Yeah, I think you can pull that off.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
all right, people. The last question people want me to ask you is, if a football player had a tail, what position would be the funniest one to watch?
Is the football? Wait.
If a football player had like a tail, like a kangaroo tail or something like that, what position would be the most interesting to watch?
Right now, with the current players, right now?
Sure.
I would say Jalen Carter. He'd be ready to kill people out there. See that tail get all like go crazy. You ever see the dog get mad? Yeah.
He'd be choking people with it. All right, Vinny. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy the wings and the brisket.
Man, you know what? I am. Bo, I'm gonna tell him my guy Bo's gonna send you over this on his tab. Put this on his tab.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, y'all.
It's on Santiago. Thanks for the super chat. We'll do that, and then we'll see you on Sunday for the post game show, Vinny.
See you Sunday.
All right, sounds good.
All right, bye.
All right. I'm trying to also think of I liked his point about how many other coaches have a U. Like who would be the worst university? Matt Patricia U.
Gunter Brewer U.
Gunter Brewer U. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't think a lot of other position coaches have have really earned that designation for sure.
It's okay. All right. Time to take another break before we learn a little bit more about what happened at practice today from Zack Burman in just a little bit. All right. What are we talking about? We're talking about game time. That's right. Game time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. That means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better. And it's the perfect gift. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets easier for live events. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff. We don't want fluff. No. We want nuts and bolts. That's what Game Time's bringing you. And they're only going to give you the most incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks makes the curation easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. They've also got the all-in pricing, where you toggle and see what the total is up front. No surprise hidden fees at the end. They're throwing in all these processing fees, this nonsense. No. Not at Game Time. They're filtering out the fluff. Get that fluff out of here. You get to see the seat views before you go, so you know what it's going to look like when you get there. The lowest price guarantee, where if you find the same tickets for a cheaper price somewhere else, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. There's also the Game Time ticket coverage, where your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
Well, it's going to be hard to follow that up, but Bo, I am here to tell you about our friends at TrueMark Financial Credit Union. And while the Eagles perhaps at times have tested this idea, it is hard to win without proper coaching. But TrueMark is here to help you coach your kids, just not in sports. You're going to have to do that elsewhere. If you've got kids, TrueMark has the ultimate playbook for teaching financial responsibility with the free Greenlight account. The Greenlight app is changing the game, helping kids and teens learn how to earn, save, and spend wisely. They can set up savings goals, track their spending, and even get an allowance, all right there in the Greenlight app. And Bo, here is the really cool part. Each kid gets their own debit card, so they can make purchases and learn real-world money skills while you, the parent, can stay in control from your phone. You, the parent, you can get peace of mind, and the kids get freedom to make smart decisions with their money. It's like coaching your kid through their very own financial game. And for TrueMark Financial members, it is free. With the holidays right around the corner, and they are literally right around the corner right now, now is the perfect time to introduce your kids to Greenlight. Get signed up today and visit TrueMark.com/Greenlight for more information.
Where do you stand on the big tail debate?
It's like Vinny. It's almost kind of too much for me to handle, honestly.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, Jalen Carter was an interesting answer.
Yeah.
It would be,
it would fit if like the best player on the team or arguably best player on the team, but like the most dangerous guy who just happened to be the one player on the field who also had a tail popping out.
So what would the rule be? Because sometimes, the hair, you're allowed to pull that.
I think
you'd
have to be able to get pulled down by the tail.
Would that hurt Jalen? Because he's, I guess that would be a holding call.
It'd be holding, yeah. So it's a good, let's talk this out because this is a good point. You probably want the guy with the tail to be on defense.
Yeah.
Because if they're on offense, you can get tackled by the tail. You don't want that.
No.
But if they're on defense and you're holding the tail, that's a hold. I mean, that's a flag.
Can you imagine the Nakobe Dean tackle on Bryce Young a few weeks ago with the t-shirt, the undershirt where he ripped it out, but it was a tail?
Ooh, he ripped the tail off, and that's gruesome.
That would have actually ripped the tail off. I mean, that would have been like cartoonish violence almost.
Yeah. I also want to, depending
had
on
to stop the game.
Length of the tail and the strength of the tail, it would be helpful for Jalen Carter to get off of double teams that way, potentially.
Sure.
Or like you could use the tail to set up those like defensive line games. Like he could be on the center while his tail is like interfering with the left guard so that the guy to his right can then come swoop around.
Oh man.
You know what I mean?
I didn't know the tail was that strong and really had.
Yeah, I guess we do have to figure out if this is more of just a tail for show or if there's like a strength in that tail.
Jalen Carter with essentially a third thing to be able to swim defenders that actually like affected other offensive linemen would be the most unfair player in the history of football. But also, I think people would just be focused on the fact that his tail is actually moving 300-pound guards out of the way.
How I do imagine, like, do you think that the league would, like, would other teams be complaining? Would they think that the tail is illegal? Like,
imagine the competition committee having to talk about
is
the
this
tail.
guy human or not? I mean, it's probably taking you down an evil rabbit hole.
Imagine Troy Vincent and the competition committee at the end of the year. The first order of business is Jalen Carter's tail and what to do about it.
All these billionaire owners are debating whether tails are allowed or are tail people too. I don't know. It's tough. Obviously,
it would have to be.
You have to figure out how much juice Jeffrey Lurie has with the league office.
Yeah, it would have to be a defensive player or an offensive lineman, I think, is the best way to do it. Anybody who has the ball, you don't want to have a tail.
Yeah.
You just get pulled down by that.
Kicker probably would be the position where if an actual animal was ever going to be an NFL player, it probably would be kicker.
Is that what Air Bud did? I don't
no,
remember
the golden retriever.
Was that the
golden receiver? I mean,
that was the second movie. Yeah, he was.
It? Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty hard to tackle him in that movie.
Yeah.
He already conquered basketball. I mean, honestly, it's easier to play. You could imagine a dog playing football more than basketball.
Yeah, for sure. Just the defensive end, like yeah. I feel like a dog could do that.
Yeah, or just like if the dog
could safety potentially,
or if the dog
could
ball,
just get ball.
Yeah, one of those attack dogs too. Yeah, that'd probably be an unfair player, honestly.
Yeah. All right, Zack Burman has been chomping at the bit to weigh in this conversation, so we check in with him now at the Novacare Complex. A look of absolute confusion and borderline disdain from Zach as we see him. Zach, how you doing?
Are you still on the tail thing? I mean, seriously. There's about,
when Zach thinks of tail, all he's thinking about is chasing it.
No, please don't say that. Come on, seriously. Don't say that. Don't have that on camera. Nothing like that. But there is like an example every day where I'm like, seriously, this is my life right now. No, I just got off the practice field.
Landon Dickerson with the tail there.
No one with the tail there. Landon Dickerson out at practice, not practicing, but really none of the offensive starters, it seemed, were practicing other than Jalen Hurts was warming up and Grant Calcaterra was warming up. But otherwise, the entire starting offensive line, Landon Dickerson was throwing a medicine ball. He wasn't like on crutches or anything. If you didn't know, he left the game early on Sunday. He was doing the same level of activity as Jordan Mailata, as all these other, as Cam Jurgens, Mekhi Becton, Lane Johnson. So there was nothing to the naked eye that would make you say there's concern about Landon Dickerson. He wasn't limping. There was no brace around his knee. He wasn't doing inactivity there was no inactivity from him that there wasn't from other players. He was throwing the medicine ball around with the other offensive linemen. This isn't an official report, but my guess is if this was a serious injury or a long-term injury, he wouldn't be out there in uniform with the other offensive linemen. Elsewhere, Saquon Barkley, same thing, observing practice. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, observing practice. So this is a rest day. It seems like at least during the stretching period, when they're actually doing walkthrough, I don't know what it'll be, but for the starting offensive line. At about 5 o'clock tonight, the Eagles will give out their the estimation of what it would be if it were a full practice. My guess is Landon Dickerson will have a injury designation on there as opposed to a rest designation, but I don't think this is the type of injury that should really concern Eagles fans at this point.
ZB, the Eagles have been practicing harder this year during the season. There was a good E.J. Smith story about that a few weeks ago. But I believe the players sort of mentioned that towards the end of the year, there's only a certain amount of practices that you're allowed to put pads on. And do you sense that I know that some players have been rested during these Wednesday sessions that have been maybe a little more physical, a little more regimented than in past years. Do you sense that those are starting to go by the wayside a little bit and they are prioritizing rest, or are they still doing that stuff?
Yeah, good question. So you're absolutely correct in that the CBA limits the amount of padded practices you can have in the second half of the year. They limit the amount of padded practices you can have over the course of the year, but in particular the second half of the year. That's number one. EJ Smith did write a good story on that earlier this year. I recommend everyone check that out on the Inquirer at the Inquirer. I would say that the Eagles have been the Wednesday walkthroughs. They went to that earlier last year than they did this year. They had full Wednesday practices later into the season this year than they did a year ago. Another difference this year is that they're in every Monday, not for a practice, but they have meetings, they have lift, and they had more, we'll see you on Wednesdays last year than they had this year. So there are changes there. Now, this time of year, we talked about on the postgame show, given the amount of players who were injured or were banged up at the end of the game, it made sense for them to have a walkthrough today. And so that's you're seeing a version of a walkthrough. But even the version of a walkthrough they have this year is different than last year in that they're out on the practice field for a bit of time to have stretch. I think they go through a version of individual work, and then they go inside to the indoor facility often for the actual walkthrough.
Zach, do you think that Nick is gonna at some point give them a victory Monday?
No, I don't.
You think they're sticking to Mondays are a work day?
Yeah, which I respect and appreciate. And it's something like that. Going back to the off season, it's something that came up as far as avoiding complacency, for accountability. Speaking to Jordan Mailata, one thing he said is that helps for accountability, right? You kind of flush that game, good or bad, out that day, that Monday day, and then Tuesday's their off day. When you report Wednesday, you're on to the next game. So that it keeps things from lingering, right? If even if you win, if you're not there on Monday, the first day you report's Wednesday, then sometimes you don't put to bed what the corrections that maybe you needed. So my understanding of it is that now I don't want to say never. Next week's an interesting week with Christmas on Wednesday. I'm curious how they modify their schedule, if at all. I know this team took a lot of pride in practicing on Thanksgiving on that Thursday. So I'm curious to see what next Wednesday looks like. But I don't anticipate them doing a radical change or halting what has worked thus far.
ZB Bryce Huff, the practice window has been activated. What can you tell us about what Nick said?
This is a good one of those ones where like the lexicon that has been added to our lives through sports, like practice window activated is one that 5 years ago.
Yes.
Now we just accept that this is a thing.
It's like in college sports, the transfer portal. It's turned into this physical thing that people step into.
Yeah. Has entered the portal.
They have activated it should be the practice window. Well, that's the thing. It should be that the window is opened, right? If you're going to go with the window lexicon, you should go open.
I totally agree.
He's our window
as
guy.
Opposed to activated. Yeah, as opposed that's true. As you can see right here, the window is
open it. Open the window. Let Bryce Huff
out. So Bryce Huff, this is big. I think for the Eagles, and I know when I posted that update earlier today, people were quick with punchlines. And Bryce Huff, he hasn't been the player, even when he was healthy, that the Eagles signed, to that $17+ million contract. That said, if he's just like a solid number 3, number 4 edge rusher for you going into the postseason, that's helpful. That's beneficial for them. They've been able to win with this 3-man rotation. Nolan Smith took 97% of the snaps the other day. So I think that, I wouldn't kind of throw these cheap punchlines out when it comes to talking about Bryce Huff. This is big for them because he's say what you want about him, contract aside, he's an NFL caliber edge rusher. And this is a team that really doesn't have a surplus of NFL caliber edge rushers right now.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but I don't think there's any doubt that his return will be helpful for this defense. I mean, as we termed it, like the goal for him or like the standard for him has gone from like, can he be Hassan Reddick to now it's like, can he be a little better than Jalyx Hunt?
100%. Agree with you there.
We were also talking, Zach, about the most pleasant surprises individually of this Eagles season. Who pops to mind for you?
Well, the first one has to be Zach Bond. To go from someone who was signed to be a depth player, special teams contributor, to being a potential all-pro linebacker. I mean, Howie didn't even see that coming, right?
Hold on, Zach. I gotta cut you off because we have breaking news here.
What?
From the chat? Shay.
From the
says
chat.
He has a Bean Girl update. They both admitted deeper feelings for each other.
Shay, I'm happy for you. Bean Girl, I am excited for you. Bo, you scared the living crap out of me just now. When you said we have breaking news, I was ready to drive off the road right now. I was curious. But yeah, Bean, I'm thrilled for you, Bean, or Shay. I'm thrilled for you, Shay. Yeah, congratulations. It's always good when you have someone who you enter deeper feelings with. That's wonderful.
Amen.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
I don't know, beans.
No. You were asking about the most pleasant surprise before you.
Zach Bond.
Within the flow of the conversation, interrupted me there. Zach Bond. Zach Bond is
as Grace says.
Zach Bond for sure is the pleasant surprise for me. If I had to go beyond Zach Bond,
beyond.
I mean, Mekhi Becton would be there, but Quinyon Mitchell being like a true number one corner, I didn't anticipate that. I thought there was gonna be more of a learning curve going from Toledo, and I give him a lot of credit. So those are three guys that jumped to mind thus far.
We had Nolan Smith. That was part of the conversation.
Sure.
And I think that is fair. But yeah, okay. Hey Zach, if you had to, do you think that there's a high-ranking elected official in the state of Pennsylvania who might want to weigh in on the tail conversation?
Well, there are high-ranking elected officials who I would like to speak to, but having the opportunity to speak with them, I would not ask them about the tail on a professional football player. I would not, by rule, as someone who really tries. I shouldn't even say tries. Does everything I can to not make someone feel uncomfortable. I would rather not talk about the tail of anybody at all.
What?
I'm saying, I think asking about talking tail, I would rather not have tail in my former conversation.
You should see Julia right now. She is bent over, hands on her face, like beside herself. What is wrong with tails?
So Julia laughs at your jokes, but she's beside herself at my proclamation of being innocent from this conversation. I don't want, I'm not talking about tail on this show.
We're not talking about butts. We're talking about physical animal tails.
I don't know which one's more offensive to my sensibilities, but
we're not talking about Debo.
Yeah. Okay. What were you asking? By the way, do you want to thank all those watching at home?
No, I have like 30 more seconds to do that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Next question.
Next question. Well, by the way, we do thank everybody who's watching live on television right now. Make sure that you flip on over to allphly.com to check out the rest. Zach, I want to ask you about some people in the chat curious about the Jay Glazer report of Dom DeSandro and Brandon Graham making their way over to Jalen Hurts' house during the bye week to encourage him to be a little bit more a part of the team and part of the conversation with his teammates. What did you make of that? And do you know anything more about it?
Yeah, I know during the offseason this was something that was conveyed to Jalen, and I know that it's something that was what was expressed then. I had not heard of that during the bye week. I do know Jay Glazer in my 13 years covering this league is spot on. So I would never doubt AJ Glazer report. He's off the money in the bank. You heard Jalen Hurts say this was the most productive bye week he's had. The Eagles are 10-0 since then. So I don't have more information. Jalen Hurts speaks during the 4 o'clock hour. My strong guess is this will come up during the press conference. We'll hear what he has to say. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting, and it speaks to if Jalen has made changes in that area. I think that's a credit to Jalen. I think it kind of speaks to the awareness of the team to get ahead of some of these things. Like I said, in the offseason, this was something that came up to Jalen about making more kind of inroads with teammates, and I have heard he's been better in that area behind the scenes this year, but I have not heard that specifically about the bye week until Jay said that.
All right. Anything else that you think is worth letting us know about from the NovaCare complex today?
From NovaCare, not necessarily. I mean, I'm here for any questions you guys have, but I think I'll be in the locker room in an hour and change. I'm curious to see what those players say. Next year, guys, press conference today, it was kind of, I don't want to say this is like a ho-hum week, but it's not necessarily, it doesn't have the same juice as that last Washington game, it feels like. I think there's a sentiment from fans right now where obviously the eyes are on the number 1 seed, but there's a let's fast forward to the playoffs. Let's see how this team looks in the playoffs. I think for the most part, this team's answered every question you could have this season. And there are things you obviously want to go into the postseason with momentum. You want to avoid injuries during these next 3 games, but I don't think the Eagles have anything to prove over these final 3 weeks of the season. I think this is a matter of paying attention to what the Lions do, paying attention to what the Vikings do. Obviously, the Eagles taking care of business, but really, this is like 3 weeks here where you're just kind of curious to see what happens in the. It's let's see what goes on in the postseason. I don't want to compare it to the Sixers, but there have been like Sixers years in the past where you're in. They're winning games in April, and it's like, all right, well, let's see what they do in the playoffs, because this all comes down to the playoffs. And I think that's where people are with the Eagles now. They answered a lot of the questions. They're perhaps the best team in the NFL, but we'll see what they do in the postseason.
Since you mentioned the Sixers, Zach, some questions about updates on Zach's basketball comings and goings. Since I got a hoop head to my left here.
Yeah.
How are things going so far?
Yeah, did not play well on Monday. Disappointed myself. I thought I'd let my team down. I missed a 3 that would have made it. It would have made it a 4-point game, or no, it would have made it a 3-point game. I think it was a 6-point spread at that point. It would have made it a 3-point game in the second half. My guy doubled the big man. He kicked it out to me. I should have hit it, and that one stayed with me that night. I had 2 turnovers. One of them I was upset about. One of them was just a miscommunication. And then overall, yeah, I didn't do enough to win. We went 1 and we're 1-2 right now. We need to get better. But I have confidence in my teammates, and yeah, I mean, we got a good team. We got size. We got to score more consistently. We got to shoot more consistently. But I like our group. I'm excited to see what we do after the new year. But with Christmas and New Year's, we don't play the next 2 weeks. So we're back after the new year, and I'm excited for this group. I think we got a good group.
Like the Eagles, the bye seems like it's coming at a good time. Zach, you got to.
Yeah, one of our guys. Shout out to Ross. He broke his finger. He played through that game with a broken finger.
Shattered?
So I got a text yesterday. Oh, good question. No, let me see what the group text says. If you don't mind here. My group text, he said he broke his finger. Good thing we have a few weeks off, non-shooting hand. We're good. So,
All right, good.
Yeah.
Little Jalen,
absolutely.
non-throwing hand, non-shooting hand.
Yeah. Now all we need is one of your other teammates to talk about how you and Ross aren't friends anymore, and then all of a sudden things are going to be really bad.
No, honestly, I am unimportant to our team, bro. I'm like of the 7 players on our team, I'm the 7th man. Like I am if the Eagles, when we're in New Orleans for the Super Bowl, whether the Eagles are there or not, we'll be there doing shows. I don't think the team's going to miss me that much. If there's when I'm at the combine, I don't think the team's going to miss me that much. They're guys on the team that they'll miss far more than me.
ZB, I will say, though, from the sounds of it, that 3 you took, it sounded like a great shot. I'm going to need you to keep taking that shot, right? That you throw the ball inside, big guy gets doubled, you step into the shot. Hey, look, sometimes they don't go in, but you got to take it again.
Absolutely. Amen.
Yeah, I got to say, John on the other team was covering me. Nice guy. He was on my team 3 years ago. But, man, he was doubling the guy who had the ball every time. He was basically like his defensive plan was Zach's not going to shoot. Zach's not going to shoot. So I did say
built up equity as someone who will not shoot. So
yeah, if I get this kicked out, and look, I'm not a good shooter. Bo destroyed me in Pig yesterday in the office. But this one felt good coming out of my hands, and it was online. It was a little short. Story of my life, a little short, right?
Keep shooting, buddy.
Not too short for us, my friend.
Right.
Thank you for the update, Zach. We will talk to you tomorrow at 2:00. We've got the professor. Dana is joining us, and then maybe a surprise politician here or there.
Yeah, when can we tease that? Well, I'll defer to Joey, our great head of production, but I want to get that out there. I'm excited about I'm excited about every Thursday show, but this is one, this is one I really want to pump up. I'll put this one on the reel,
On the reel?
What's the reel?
You mean
R-E-E-L,
your
that's an expression.
Professional reel, not like you're not trying. This is not like.
Yeah, no, it's
this is not like like, ooh, on the reel we're gonna talk to Josh.
Oh, no.
On the reel.
You just catch out of the bag, right? If you write a good article, you say I'll put that one in the clip packet, right? Yeah, you do. You say this one's for the clip packet. You don't say that?
No.
All right. Well, that's a common expression.
No, it's not.
I'm sure Rich knows it. Yes, it is. This one's for.
I'm staying out of this one.
No one says on the clip packet.
In the clip packet, they say this one. I'll put this in the clip packet. Bo.
No.
Bo. Yeah. I promise you. Rich knows exactly what I'm talking about here.
I know what you're talking about, but no one says on the clip packet.
In the clip packet. Yeah, this is one for the clip packet. Absolutely. Anyone who's ever done
clips.
Yeah, this is for the clip packet. Yeah. So like I said, this is for the real.
Crazy here?
I'm staying out of this one.
No, but this is absolutely correct. Is that you tell every summer intern at the Inquirer, make sure you get 2 or 3 stories for your clip packet, right? When you're coming up in the business, you want to write that big Sunday story, that big takeout for the clip packet. So yeah, I stand by that one.
Okay, agree to disagree.
Wouldn't be our first time. Yeah.
All right, Zach, we love you. We look forward to talking to the leader of the free world tomorrow.
See you, man.
Okay, all right, talk to you guys soon. Yep.
A couple super chats to get to before we close things out here on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Chase Daniel Plainview says, the Bills released Casey Toohill. Is it Howie redemption time? I would not be surprised if the Eagles replaced Chuck Harris with Casey Toohill. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
That's your purview.
Yeah, I mean,
you were on the Toohill train.
The whole, if Casey Toohill's back and we've got Vinnie Curry here, like the whole thing really has come full circle. And in a week in which they're playing the Commanders. Andrew says, Bean update at Shea for Deets. I'm very excited on the Bean update front. And then Santiago, go to hell.
Speaking of the Bean update, ZB saying that he was about to drive his car off the road. I mean, he was just sitting in a room. Yeah, there was.
What was he talking about?
Well, there's no car. Bean update really frazzled him.
He really did. I mean, yeah. You want to get Zach's heart racing and tell him there's breaking news. Oh well. Rich, this was fun.
It was fun, man. It was an education. And tails, beans, some football mixed in.
Yep.
Some Alabama wings. I mean, it's
Alabama
really,
wings.
we've really run the gamut over these.
CDP says, ask Josh who is the better shooter, ZB or Luigi? Yikes. All right. That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. We thank everybody for watching and listening today. We are back tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Daniz Selman and a high-ranking elected official will be joining us to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles in the middle of that episode. We are very much looking forward to that conversation. And then Friday at Reading Terminal, 2 o'clock, we're doing Swooper. We have Fran there. Zach's going to be there. Again, no promises on the nudity front, but you never know. So we look forward to all that. Big week as the Eagles prepare for the Washington Commanders. Thanks to everybody for watching and listening. Thank you, Julia, for making it happen. We will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.